Let's see.
I can hum our entrance music.
Hey,
Hey, there we go. We are live and
there
cooking.
we go.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Walking with God. I am your host, Kyle Walker. It is Tuesday, March 19th. Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Tomorrow's the first day of spring.
it is.
How cool is that?
Raining tonight, gonna wake up tomorrow, and all of a sudden it will be warm.
And it'll be green, and it'll just look wonderful.
It's amazing how that happens.
I can't wait. Yeah, so hey, tomorrow's the first day of spring. I hope everyone had a safe and fun St. Patrick's Day. We're still celebrating here, as you can tell, all decked out in the green.
I don't know.
I always celebrate the St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, I know.
We are joined this week, in case you haven't already noticed, by our great friend Joe. Joe, welcome.
How's everybody doing this week? It's good to be here. I'm excited about this.
That's right. So we are going to just take a couple moments to talk about the goings on in the world as we normally do. And so there's really only one place to start, and Joe's going to take that for us. So Joe, take it away, my man.
Yeah, man. Last week there was a mass shooting in New Zealand at a couple of mosques.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't go through all the names because it would take a long time because there were 50.
Right.
They're up to 50 right now of people who have passed. There are 19 people that are still in pretty bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
And so, guys, anytime this happens, this is an opportunity for us to be able to reach out to our neighbors and remind just our physical neighbors that we care about them and that we got their back, but also to be able to call our Muslim neighbors, and let them know that this is not something that we agree with.
Ooh.
This is not something that we think is a good thing, and it's not something that we'll let happen here.
Correct.
With whatever power we happen to have.
Right.
This week I'm going to get to go and have lunch with the head of the Islamic Center of Northeast Kansas.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And just a gentleman, I shot him a note and said, hey, I hear this is what I know this happened, and I'm incredibly sorry, and I want you to know that you're not forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And he shot me a note back and said, hey man, in essence he said, hey man, we're scared.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I don't really have anybody to talk to. So he and I are going to go out and eat on Thursday for lunch. I'm looking forward to just getting to know my neighbor.
Right.
Make a new buddy, and who knows what'll happen because of it. But guys, the sincerest form of love we can extend to somebody else is showing up when they're hurting.
Right.
And he's hurting right now.
Absolutely. So yeah, our thoughts and prayers and all that stuff that we
100%.
say every time are with all the folks from New Zealand.
100%.
Yeah. So just know that all of us are rooting for you guys.
It's not all that's going on in the world, though, is it?
No, unfortunately, it's not. There's other stuff going on. We have to acknowledge here, much, much, much closer to home, the events going on in Nebraska, the terrible flooding that's going on up there, which we hear about flooding all the time on the news, and it's kind of something I wouldn't say dismiss, but it's definitely something that does not always resonate with us. But man, the videos, the drone footage of the stuff coming out of Nebraska is just devastating, as that state is just being ravaged right now by floodwaters. Just a real quick story. I'll give the abbreviated version. I went up to Lincoln, Nebraska on Friday evening to go see a concert. And I knew that going up there, one of the main highways that I was going to take was closed, but I had found a way to bypass it. No problem. So I get up there, I enjoy the concert, and I try and come home in the middle of the night. Every road going across the water, across the Missouri River, was closed. I had to finally go all the way from Lincoln, Nebraska down to Atchison, Kansas, which isn't exactly the way that you would choose to go, before I could finally get over. And even now, that route would not have worked.
No.
The waters have continued to rise. Things are only getting worse, not better. And again, this was Friday. This was days ago that I tried to make it across, and it's only gotten worse.
And my understanding is that the rivers will crest. Looks like they're going to crest on Friday.
Oh my goodness!
And so they're talking 5 to 7 more feet of depth in the water. you know, as far south as Leavenworth, it's making its way into town.
In which Leavenworth is, Atchison and Leavenworth is how I got back, and now those ways are gone.
That would not work.
No, would not work.
Would not work. And so, you know, you start to think about that, Kyle, and the thing that caught me with that is the pictures of large chunks of bridges.
Yeah, that are
flowing.
Gone.
Just no, they had pictures of just flowing down the river.
Yeah.
They weren't sinking. The water was moving so rapidly that large chunks of concrete and steel could not sink.
Right.
Because the water was moving too quickly.
It's powerful stuff. So keep everyone up in Nebraska in the forefront of your mind, and you know, anything that we can do. I don't know what you could do.
At this point in time, it's waiting till the water recedes, and then we'll start to be able to grasp the totality of what's happened, and be able to see what needs to happen. And you know, I know that it's something that I'm keeping an eye on. One, because you know where I work is in Leavenworth, and we're starting to see some of it. But even further up the river, just being able to say, I'm going to be able to keep you updated, and you can keep everybody else through the show page updated to say, hey, here's some opportunities for you to be able to, you know, give $5 for a blanket, or send $10 for some food. Yeah. You know, those are things that they're small, but they're big at the same time.
They would be super important to do. So yeah. And if you guys come across ways to help the folks of Nebraska, now even into Missouri and even into Kansas, pass them along to me, because I'm more than happy to spread the word through our limited reach here on the show. But I'm definitely more than happy to do that. So you guys just got to let me know. There's really no smooth segue. We'll try and bring the tone up a little bit. I know we're starting kind of heavy, but you know, there's one of the things that I think you were on the show when we decided we need to celebrate victories. And even though we've had a few bad things, we're going to turn this around to a couple good things. And one really kind of got me last night, and so I wanted to put this out there. But last night I started my 21st season of slow pitch softball.
Way to go! And
I know that doesn't sound like much, but I'm 39 and I've had 2 open heart surgeries. So to still be able to play slow pitch softball, it's a gift. And as I got home last night and I was in a lot of pain, really tired because we played late into the night, you know, I took a moment to really thank the big man for that, because it kind of struck me last night. It's like, wow, 21 years I've been doing this, just playing a silly game that I love. But I wanted to celebrate that victory because it made me all happy and warm and fuzzy.
Well, dude, I think you should celebrate that, because we're getting old.
Oh man, tell me about it. But and that was the little precursor victory that I wanted to talk about. But now here's the big one. Are you guys ready? He doesn't even know this is coming. So Sunday morning,
man,
this boy right here done kicked a home run.
I kicked a home run.
You kicked a home run.
That would hurt my toe. Baseball's hard.
Let's see. I was trying to find other ways to butcher sports analogies.
I kicked a home run. I hit a touchdown.
You knocked out a touchdown. You got the hat trick in volleyball. I don't know. This guy did great Sunday morning at his sermon at Westside Leavenworth. And so I just wanted to say, man, I was so happy sitting there in the crowd and then seeing all the people who came up there to watch you. I was nervous for you. I really was, because that is getting in front of people and talking. I'm talking in front of a blue light. He was talking in front of a bunch of people who were staring back at him. And that's a different ball game. So I just want to say, man, that was so good. Sunday morning was so much fun, and you did an amazing job.
Man,
I was super glad to be there. Because that was good stuff.
I appreciate that. It does help when you're walking on stage and they introduce you and this is what you hear. Woo! So, it really, really, really helps.
I might have wooed.
There might have been a woo coming from Kyle.
I might have wooed.
Made me feel a little bit like I was in the Omni in 1986.
That's right.
Wrestling for the NWA.
The Nature Boy.
And so this was great stuff, you know, and I appreciated you being there, man.
Oh, for sure.
And truth of the matter was, I mean, I ended up with over 50 different folks who came up that day just because they liked me. And I didn't expect that. It blew me away. I put out an ask and said, anybody want to come up? And I expected 2 or 3 people to show up, and to have over 50 people come up and just be there to because they like me.
Because we didn't know if you'd be any good at it or not.
No, most people assumed I wouldn't be. I actually even had one guy who, well, no, I'll call him out. Mike Crosby came to me and said, Joe, that was much better than I expected it to be. And
it's only because you mentioned him during the service.
But it helps.
Yeah, he got his own personal shout out.
Yeah, it happens. So, but no, man, it was a lot of fun. It was a learning experience.
Sure.
And apparently it must have gone okay because I get to do it 5 more times this year.
5 more times. So when's the next time you're up?
Father's Day.
Oh, all right. Father's Day.
So
well, there we go.
Father's Day. It'll be a blast, man.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can't get a WWGKW convoy
contingent.
Yeah, coming up to Leavenworth. I will definitely be there. I'll make my kids come.
Well, man, you better have a sign this time because you disappointed me that there wasn't one this last time.
I wooed.
I know you wooed.
I wooed.
Your girls need to bring a sign though, because that would be awesome.
And they would. So, but hey, it's funny how timing works. It really, really is. So, this past weekend, I actually got some listener feedback on the show, and I wouldn't say it maybe rubbed me wrong. It got my attention though. When what somebody told me was that they had listened to quite a few episodes in a row, and that basically it was just me talking about myself. And that was kind of what the show boiled down to. And I told you guys a long time ago that if it ever appeared like this show was more about me than about, helping or about Jesus or about any of the things that I want this show to be about, I would quit. I would just stop. This just became the Kyle Walker show because I don't feel that it is. The reason I have to talk about myself a lot is I am relaying my experiences and my lessons to other people in hopes to help. And you addressed this on Sunday morning. We hadn't talked about this, but you addressed this very thing, or at least how I came about to it. So I'm just going to give you the revised Kyle version.
Let me hear the revised Kyle version,
then you're going to
try to remember what I said.
Don't have your notes in front of you now, do you?
I didn't have my notes in front of me on Sunday. They were on the table.
Yeah, that's right. You didn't pull them out even once. Okay, so again, the people said I'm basically it's a lot of me talking about me.
Yeah,
I think it's me talking about experiences and how to relate them to things, but we'll see what you think. So something that I got from your service was kind of the ways that Jesus works through us and the way that he shows the love, because it was about love to us. And it's that when we're relaying our story or when we are sharing the love of Jesus, we talk about kind of where we were when Jesus found us, okay, which I think I've done, kind of where we are now with our relationship, our vertical relationship, as it were, and then kind of where we expect things to go. And that's kind of the feeling I got from your service, is that the way we share our love for Jesus and the love Jesus has for us is where we were when he found us, where we are now, and where we're going.
Yeah.
So wherever you can take off from
once we get to the point that somebody's asking the questions about, hey, tell me about this Jesus that you love.
Right.
Then the best evidence becomes, this is who I was. I'm not this anymore.
Right.
This is who I was. This is where Jesus found me, and this is what's changed in my life. And Kyle, while I understand where someone would come from saying, hey, that's you guys just talking about you.
Right.
Well, yeah. But the truth of the matter is it's me talking about what Jesus has done in my life that I couldn't do on my own. Mm-hmm. I've been on here multiple times and talked about the fact that my oldest daughter said to my youngest daughter how lucky she is that she never had to meet angry daddy.
Right.
And that's a big deal, because there was a time in my life before I started letting Jesus have control of that area of my life that angry was what I was. Mm-hmm. He smoothed out those edges over time.
Yeah.
And now, instead of being consistently angry, mm-hmm. I have moments.
Sure.
And they're very short.
Right.
And they're generally followed with massive apology and somebody telling me, you don't necessarily need to do that.
Right.
But my pushback would be that any point in time, if you're wanting to talk with somebody who's trying to tell you about weight loss, mm-hmm. and obviously that's not something I'm going to be telling anybody about right now.
You and I should not talk about that. No.
But if somebody was, and they said, this is who I was, this is the change that I made, and this is who I am now, then it puts in perspective that what they did actually works.
Right.
If you're talking to somebody about giving up alcohol, you know, this is who I was when I used to drink all the time.
Right.
This is the change that I made. This is what's happened from that point on. It is how we become the expert witness in our own life.
Yeah.
And life transformation is the only reason that I ever ran into Jesus, because I saw the difference in somebody.
Okay.
And they were able to say, here's who I was, and I knew who they were. Here's where it happened, and here's who I am now. And I was able to see that there is a vast difference in who this person is. Yeah. And so it hit me. Whatever they did, I need to pay attention to.
That's right.
And so I think that, you know, when we get to the point of telling our story, the only legitimate way to tell our story is, this is who I was. This is where Jesus encountered me. This is how my life has changed.
Right.
And I don't think that comes back to bragging on us.
No.
But I think what we have to be careful of is that we make sure that we put the praise where it belongs.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I don't have a real eloquent way to follow that up.
I don't have a real eloquent way to say anything.
So well, no, that's true. But no, that's cool. And that was one of the things I wanted to tackle. Especially, I mean, I don't know, maybe other people feel that way too, that this has been kind of a me-centered show, but I just try and make it my experiences that will help lead people to better results than maybe I had when I went through it.
Here's what I would say about that.
Sure.
And this is this is me looking at this in the totality of our relationship, which isn't an extraordinarily long period of time.
No.
But you mentioned today that it's been a couple of years since we really started developing some kind of a relationship.
Yep.
You know, a little bit before that because of your heart stuff.
Right.
But we bonded over burritos and tacos at that time.
And who doesn't?
And who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
I mean, we still bond over tacos.
That's true.
Most Tuesday nights. But the deal of it is that if we discount what Christ has done in our life, then he becomes nothing more than just a really smart guy.
Right.
Because what the difference between what happens in a relationship with Christ and it happens in a relationship with other people is that life transformation happens that we can't attain by ourselves. It's not self-help.
No.
It's total God dependence.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, and that kind of leads me to another one of your points in there. And at least the way that I kind of looked at this show from time to time, and if I'm wrong, maybe correct me. But you even said in one of your notes, Jesus' love comes alive in my life through sacrificial action.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I've talked about on this show. I'm like, I actually sacrifice a little bit for this show. Time, money, my sanity at times. Like
sure.
when I'm
here.
Especially when you're here.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to, I'm actually going to share the verse that you chose for it. This is, since I probably haven't done a verse on here in a while, but
since the last time I was here.
Yeah, exactly. Philippians 2:5-3. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. And so, yeah, you got anything you want to throw on the sacrificial action here?
Yeah, you know, I think that when I showed up on Sunday, I didn't know quite what I was going to say in response to that, and then something decent came out.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And it really comes down to this: is that verse isn't saying that to share God's love that we're going to have to sacrifice our own life.
Right.
But it's what it's saying is we might have to sacrifice part of it.
Right. And that's what I really liked about.
And what that means
mm-hmm.
is that in order to be love, because what we're supposed to be like Jesus. So
mm-hmm.
when we be like Jesus, we are being like love. So to be love in someone else's life, we're going to have to set aside some of our preconceived thoughts and expectations about people. Some of those could be about their culture.
Yeah.
You know, I'm having to work on that. Do some of that for Thursday at lunch.
That's right.
Some of it could be their political affiliation. Some of it could be their religious background.
mm-hmm.
Some of it could be their identity.
Yes.
Some of these things that we're going to have to say, this doesn't matter in this moment, so that I can be the love of Jesus in this person's life. Not necessarily with my words, but with just showing up.
Right. Yep.
And, showing up for the purpose of being able to let folks know two things: that they're loved and that they're lovable.
mm-hmm.
Because in moments of crisis, especially moments when we get fearful and other things, there are moments we don't feel loved or lovable.
Correct.
I mean, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I still have days like that where it's like, oh man,
how can anybody love me? I'm such a mess.
I am a moron.
Yeah.
And a few other things.
So that leads us into the quote, and I laughed when I saw that this quote was in here because I know that you're big on this guy.
I am big on Henri Nouwen.
Yes. So Henri Nouwen says, to be in a relationship with God is to be loved purely and furiously.
Mm-hmm.
A person who thinks himself unlovable cannot be in a relationship with God because he can't accept who God is, a being that is love. We learn that we are lovable or unlovable from other people.
Yeah.
That is why God tells us so many times to love each other. That is so big.
It is.
It is so big.
Is. And, the cool part is that comes from a guy who lived that out.
Yes.
Yes. I've shared a little bit, and I'll just share just real quickly, kind of this Henri Nouwen thing. What Nouwen did was incredible. Henri Nouwen was the head of theology at Notre Dame.
Right.
He was the head of theology at Oxford at one point in time.
Oxford.
So this is a smart dude.
Yeah, a little bit.
This is a really smart dude and a very sought-after communicator. He was a guy that folks in the Catholic world went to for advice. He was one of the few dudes I think that could get an audience with the Pope just by saying, "Hey, I'm here."
Right.
And so this guy was a big deal.
Right.
I mean, in worldly senses, he was a big deal.
Mm-hmm. And
in the last 10 years of his life, he gave that up.
Yeah.
And he moved to a place called L'Arche in Canada. And L'Arche is a community for adults with developmental disabilities. And it's a town
mm-hmm.
for adults with developmental disabilities. And he moved there to where he immediately became nothing.
Right.
Because his accolades mattered not.
Mm-mm.
Everything about what he'd accomplished didn't matter in that moment. Heck, the fact that he could speak eloquently didn't matter because most of the people couldn't understand him.
Right.
But he became the spiritual advisor for this community. And as you look more in the later parts of his life, he said, all I did there, my sole responsibility was to love people.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about the sacrifice. I mean, he kind of embodied that.
Yeah, big time.
That's why he's one of my Mount Rushmore spiritual dudes.
Right. That's a good way to put it.
And it's what we're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. And live the life of a servant.
We're kind of supposed to love our neighbors.
Love, yeah. Love seems to be a big one. As he says, it's kind of a recurring theme.
I have a friend. His name's Ray Washington Jr. and Ray's a buddy of mine. Sometimes he'll watch this after the fact.
After the fact, yeah. So it looks like a lot of people are going to have to do that.
Yeah, that's okay. Whoever still happens to be here, we love you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ray is a Ray's a minister, lives in South Carolina in a pretty segregated area of the United States, in the area where he lives. And he's a black guy preaching at a white church.
Oh, yeah.
And he ends every one of his posts on Facebook and any email that he sends out with LGLP. And it's love God, love people.
And I like it.
And I love the order because it's important. Because
Yes.
1 John says we can love because Jesus first loved us.
Mhm.
And so that's what it really comes down to. Love God, love people. The cool part about that is like 50% of that says love.
Yeah, that it does. That's super cool. Yeah. I think that's kind of where it is. I think that's where we're going to kind of end it.
So it was really cool to be able to kind of recap some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And
it was a great sermon. Not gonna lie, I really enjoyed that.
So what's really kind of fun is the next time I get to do this is during we're doing a series called At the Movies.
Yeah.
But we're I'm gonna teach twice. I'm gonna preach twice during that. And so Father's Day I get to preach, and I'm still trying to figure out which movie I'm going to use and how I want to tie it in. But we're also going to use the Never-Ending Story, it looks like, which will be fun. You know, when you stop and think about how every character in that movie was meant to give Atreyu, and Bastion courage.
Yeah, boy, I haven't seen that in a hot minute.
So, it'll be fun if you've got kids. We're probably going to show this. We're probably going to show it the night before.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And so come on out.
There you go.
So
we will definitely, once we get closer, I'll give out the address again and see if we can't work out a convoy this time. But yeah, it was really super great. And you guys have a nice little establishment going up there.
Yeah, man, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, my first time in the church.
Kind of leaky a little bit, but it's that, man. It's all good. Yeah. They're probably dripping a little bit this evening.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's starting to rain here. I can hear it outside. So
it is.
That's going to kind of do it for us.
Okay, so I have one question.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because it is. I mean, I'm not going to be on here again before the I did a little segment for West Side of the Day. We do a segment on Tuesdays called Cup of Joe.
Right.
And I had my Beavis and Butthead coffee mug, and I also had Kirk Heinrich and Nick Collison join me.
I saw that.
And so I'll ask you the same question I asked Caleb.
Okay, what's that?
Which was, who do you want to win the NCAA tournament? Who do you think is going to win the NCAA tournament?
Because I have no big college basketball loyalties. My school is MNU. They're an NAIA Division I school.
We hope that everyone forfeits and MNU wins.
Not likely.
Because there's a few more divisions in between.
Right.
Yeah, but maybe.
So I root for anyone coming out of the state of Kansas, where I'm from. So I will root for KU. I will root for K-State. I don't think Wichita State made it.
No, they did not. They're in the NIT this year.
I will root for Wichita State to win the NIT.
I think they already lost.
Good season, Shockers. Way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll root for the two teams out of Kansas. KU, K-State winner would be perfect. That's what I hope. What I think, it's going to be Duke.
Well, I am not happy with that.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I will tell you the same thing I said on the show earlier. What my hope is that 63 teams forfeit and Kansas just gets handed the trophy.
Good luck with that.
It won't happen, but that's what I hope happens because I think that's the only way they're going to win the whole thing.
Correct.
But I honestly think that the Tennessee Volunteers are going to win.
Okay. I actually have them in the Final Four, if not the final game.
Final
Four.
They are pretty darn good.
Yep.
And I think they're going to win.
And
so we'll check. We'll see if either of us were right with Mid-America or
exactly. Go Pioneers.
Yeah. So they have about the same chance that the Shockers do this year.
That's correct. All of it being none.
None.
So all right. Well, there we go. So
all right.
Hopefully,
there's our sports intersection for today.
I think next week I got to make sure that the bad jokes return. Oh yeah, and next week baseball returns.
Baseball.
So glad.
Bad jokes.
Bad jokes and baseball. They go together.
So what does a storm wear under its clothes?
Do what now?
What does a storm wear under its clothes?
I don't know. Thunderpants. As soon as I said I don't know, I thought of it. Thunderpants.
My 8-year-old Gabby gave me that one. So there you go, folks. There's the bad joke of the day.
Underpants. And
Underpants.
There's no better way to end the show. Pray us out of here.
All right, Jesus, just want to say thank you. Thank you for an opportunity to come and sit and chat with Kyle. This was fun this evening. I pray for the folks in New Zealand as they heal, and the folks in mosques all over the world as they're scared. I also pray that you continue to keep people safe in Nebraska, because I have yet to hear of a lost life. And lost property is bad, but lives are being saved. And so I pray that continues to be the case. And as the flood makes its way down the river, that also continues to be the case in Missouri and in northeast Kansas, as there's a lot of water coming. And so Jesus, just again, I thank you for this evening. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Amen.
Amen. All right, everyone. Hey, have a good week. Be safe out there and wherever you might be going. And let's come back next week. I think I'm going to post it all over the Facebook page. How about next week we make it a viewer request, listener request show? So
wait, hold on.
What
Bryson, you ready? He says, what does Snoop Dogg use an umbrella for? Faux drizzle. Thank you, Bryson Rumpel.
Bryson, how
you are the man.
Terrible. Oh yeah, he's got to be the one giving the hearts on the screen too.
You are the man.
That was actually really good. All right, hey, we'll see you guys next week. Let me know what you want to talk about. Let's work on the next week's show together, because as I sit here right now, I got nothing. So anyway, see you in 7 days. Bye.
Later.